Let's look at the packet from yesterday about identifying the characteristics of a quadratic. So we'll look at number 1 and see how you did. So check your work with mine. All right, so let's look at this. We have the axis of symmetry running down the middle. And we write that axis symmetry has an x in axis. So we write as x equals some number. The number that it goes through on the x-axis is 0. The max or min, it is the lowest point, so it's a minimum. The vertex is this point, 0, 2. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, which is at 2. So we can write 0, 2, or just write it as 2. Domain is all real numbers. It goes left and right to infinity. The range is going to be our y values. And it starts at 2 and gets larger. So it's going to be greater than or equal to 2. Number 2, let's go ahead and do our axis of symmetry. So this is the highest point, so it's a maximum. The vertex is at 1, 0. The range is, the highest is 0. So it's y is less than or equal to, because it's at 0 or lower. Axis of symmetry goes down the middle. It was at 1, so it's x equals 1. And the y-intercept is right here at -2. So it's going to be 0, -2. Or you can write it as just -2 as your y-intercept. Roots, zeros, and solutions. That's all the same thing. All it means is where is your x-intercept. So it just intercepts at 1 point. So we have one of them. And the solution is at +1. We can just write 1. Number 3, this is a big parabola. So let's see, our axis of symmetry goes down the middle. And it is the lowest point, so that makes it a minimum. Our vertex is at this point, which is -2 down to -9. Our axis of symmetry, remember axis has an x in it, so it's x equals some number. X is going to be equal whatever the axis of symmetry goes through on the x-axis, which is -2. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, which is at -5. So it's going to be 0, -5. Or you can just say -5. The range is your y values. So it starts at -9 and goes up to infinity. So the inequality represents -9 or larger is greater than or equal to -9. And then solutions, roots, zeros, those are all the same thing. X-intercepts. So we have one here and one here. So make sure to put your dots on those 2 spots. So there are 2 of them. And they are at -5 and at positive 1. So you have a positive and a negative 0. Make sure not to write this as coordinates. Just write it as what values they are on the x-axis. Put and in between them. Okay, something I wanted to show you is look at our equation on this one. X squared plus 4x minus 5. The minus 5, it matches with the y-intercept. So the number that does not have an x is your y-intercept. Every time. Write that down. In your quadratic equation, the value that doesn't have any x's is your y-intercept. So look at this one. The value that doesn't have any x's, negative 2. That is our y-intercept. Look at the first one. The number that doesn't have any x values is our y-intercept. It matches, right? Positive 2. All right, we're going to put this away for now. I'm going to assign some problems to you tonight, but put it away for now. We'll come back to it. Let's look at our foldable for today. We're going to use the calculator a lot, but we are also going to find some things using some calculation. Go ahead and write your name on here. So we may not finish it today. So you're not going to glue it in until we finish it. Here are the steps for graphing quadratic equations. First step says find the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. So it's like, well, what is A, what is B, what is C? So look at your formula chart, or look at my formula chart. This is in y'all's journal too. But let's look. This says standard form. All of these 4 down here are quadratic equations. So these are the ones that we are going to look at for this unit. We have standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Vertex, quadratic, we're not going to worry about those right now. Axis of symmetry, it does give you x equals negative b over 2a. So you know what this can help you on? Most of your problems for quadratics will be multiple choice. If they ask you for axis of symmetry, you are given what it says. X equals a number. So you can narrow down your choices just by marking out anything that says y equals a number. Because axis of symmetry is x equals a number. They kind of gave you a hint right here. So that's going to be helpful for you whenever you take your test. So it's negative b over 2a. So where we get these is from our standard form. So write this at the top. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So your A, B, and C come from this. Make sure it's in x squared, x, and constant order. If it's in a different order, just rearrange it. Make sure you take whatever sign is with it, though. Okay, so we're going to find the axis of symmetry on this first one. So everybody turn to the inside. Look at number 1. Y equals x squared plus 2x plus 3. To find our axis of symmetry, let's write what our A, B, and C are. So remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. This is in the correct order. So let's write what A, B, and C are. A is the number in front of x. There's nothing there, so it's a 1. B is what's in front of x. So in this case, it'll be the 2. C is the constant, the one that doesn't have any x's. So we have A, B, and C. So for axis of symmetry, the formula says x equals negative b over 2a. So let's plug in b. So it says negative b. So we're going to put a negative 2 over 2 times a. 2 times 1. So we have negative 2 over 2. Yep, x equals negative 1. So go ahead and write that. X equals negative 1 is our axis of symmetry. Once you get that, go ahead and draw your axis of symmetry, a dotted line where x is at negative 1. X is at negative 1 here. So we know that on that axis of symmetry, whatever's on this side will be also symmetrical and be on that side. This is our line of symmetry. All right, the next thing is the vertex. So let's look at number 2. Find the vertex by plugging in the axis of symmetry into the quadratic equation. Or you can look at the table on your calculator. And find out wherever x is, you're going to put in that value for, or find that, and then find out what the y that matches with it. So let's put this in the calculator. So make sure to go back to y equals, clear out what's in there. And let's put that in. X squared plus 2x plus 3. Go to the table. And what we're going to look at is we want to put in this, see where it's negative 1. What's the y value that matches?
2.
Yep. So that is our point, our vertex. You're just looking for one point right now. It's the vertex. The vertex is on the axis of symmetry. So that's why we look at the x value of the vertex or of the axis of symmetry and find what matches with it. Now we can plot that point. Negative 1, positive 2. Okay, we need a few more points. So on here, we can find a few more points. So go to the vertex, and let's find out what the next point is right after the vertex. 0, 3. What is 0, 3?
The Y-intercept.
Yep, that came from here. That's the C value. So the Y-intercept is 0, 3. So we didn't actually have to do that. We could have known that. And then we need another point, one more over. So just look at the table. 1, 6. So go over 1 up to 6. Okay, so we know it's quadratic because the highest variable exponent is 2. So we know that everything on this side of the line of symmetry can be reflected to the other side. because it's going to make that parabola shape, the U shape. So if this is right here, we're going to count. It goes 1 over, so we go 1 to the other side. That's what's really cool about quadratics. And then go to the next one. So this 1/6. So I'm going to find out how far away it is from the axis of symmetry. It's 2. So go 2 to the other side. You just need 5 points to be able to make your parabola now. So like I said yesterday, you're going to make that like bowl looking part of your parabola. And then continue it up to both sides. Okay, domain is how far left and right. So with quadratics, if it doesn't stop anywhere, what is our domain going to be?
All real numbers.
All real numbers. And then our range is our y value. So it's going to be y is something. You see how far down and how far up it goes? So it goes down to 2, right? So y is something 2. We use it in equality. So is y going to be less than or equal to 2 or greater than or equal to 2?
Greater than.
Greater than, because it gets larger. It's 2 and above, so that means greater than. Give the maximum or minimum value. What kind of value do we have? Do we have a max or a min? Min. And we need to give that value. It's 2. The min is 2. Usually it just wants the y value, like how high or how low it is. So the min equals 2. So if it's a max, it'll be max equal however high it goes. And then how many roots, solutions, x-intercepts are there? None. Okay, let's go back over here. Number 3, we already went over, find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the c value of the equation, 0c. Plot the vertex, draw the axis of symmetry, plot the y-intercept. Use symmetry to get the third point. So remember, you reflect all the points. Number 5 tells us that we can actually use the calculator to find some things. You can find minimum, maximum, and 0. So I'm going to show you how to find on this one, it's a minimum. So your calculator can find it if you don't want to graph it on paper, you just want to check, because it says use calculator to check. So let's go to our calculator. Make sure that the correct equation's in. This was the first one. Put function into y equals. Step 2, let's go ahead and graph first. So go ahead and add that in there. Number 2 says second trace. We can do min, max, or 0. So look at second trace. See this in blue? It says calculate. Anytime you want the calculator to find things on a graph, that's what you go to. Second trace for calculate. So this first one, it doesn't have any zeros, so we can't test that out. But it does have a minimum. So go down to minimum. Look at your screen, look at mine, see if they're the same. So this asks us questions in order to find the minimum. So y'all watch my screen. Wait to do it until after I show you. It says left bound. So what that means is you're going to go to the left side of whatever you want to find. So we're finding the minimum. The minimum's like right there, right? Where am I at right now? I'm at the Y-intercept, and it's on the right side. So I'm going to use my arrow over here to go to the left side. It doesn't matter where on the left side, just on the left side. It has a question mark, so I push enter. Then it asks the question right bound. So now I go to the right side of that vertex or that minimum. Doesn't matter where, just as long as you're on the other side. Push enter. Then it says guess. Push enter. And look at what mine says. Yours probably says something a little different. Mine's like negative 0.99999.
That's
2. Did anybody get theirs where it actually says -1?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So you'd want to round because we already know what it is, right? We already know that it is -1, 2. But this just confirms it right there. I would round this to the nearest whole number. All right, go ahead and do the next one. I want you to find the axis of symmetry first. Identify your A, B, and C. So a problem I see here is it says a -B, and B is already negative.
That makes it a positive.
Yep, it makes it a positive. Negative, negative makes it a positive. 4 over 2 times -1. So it'll be 4 over -2. So x equals -2. Yep. So draw your axis of symmetry. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to work on that. Do you notice something different about this one?
More of the negative is bigger than the positive.
Both negative.
Okay.
They're both sides are negative.
So what's the parabola going to look like? Downward, right. What do you think causes the downward? Yeah. It's actually the A. If the A is negative, then that means it's downward. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and look at it with you now. So negative 2, 0 is the vertex. The Y-intercept comes from the C. So it's 0, negative 4. We need a couple of more points, right? So let's find, here's my vertex. So I want to find the next one. So that's at negative 1, negative 1. And once you get 3 points, you can reflect those points across the line of symmetry. So over here. And then this one is 2 away from the axis. So go to the other side. Now make your parabola. The domain, how far left and right will it go? Yep, infinity, infinity, making it all real. Okay, the range. So it's at 0 and below. So that makes it less than or equal to 0. Is this a min or a max? So what is the max going to equal? What's the highest it'll go? 0, right. Good. How many roots, solutions, x-intercepts are there?
1.
So 1. And what is it?
Negative 2.
Yep, so x equals negative 2. That's how you're going to write it. If it's a root, solution, x-intercepts, you're going to write x equals whatever that number is. Okay, let's go to the next one. What's different about this one? Yeah, it's there's only those 2 numbers, so it's x squared minus 4. So when we identify our a, b, and c, a is what's in front of x squared. Is there a b at all? Bx? So it's going to be 0. And then c, negative 4. So for the axis of symmetry, it's negative b. So negative 0 over 2a. If I take 0 cookies and I divide by my 50 friends, how many cookies does each person get? 0. So x equals 0. If I have 0 of something, I have to divide it among people. Everybody's going to get nothing. It's 0. You can always put this in the calculator too. But just know if 0 is on the top and you're dividing by a number, it equals 0. When you put it in the calculator, you can put it in the original way or the flipped around way. It doesn't matter. Zero. That's what the axis of symmetry is. Oh, I forgot to draw it. Did y'all draw it?
Yeah.
Good. Put your dotted line down. Y-axis because it's at x equals 0. So it's 0, negative 4. Is this going to open upward or downward?
Downward. Oh yeah.
Upward, because what determines it? The A. If the A is positive, it's up. If A is negative, it's down. And the A here is positive. Okay, so we found our vertex. Our Y-intercept. Our Y-intercept is the C. Mm-hmm. We need some more points. So we go to the table, we look at where our vertex is, and then we go the next one. 1, -3. And the next one, 2, 0. We just get 2 more points after the vertex. So 1, -3. And 2, 0. And then you could reflect these points across that line of symmetry to get a few more. Now make your parabola. Okay, the domain. All real numbers. It's going to go left and right to forever. The range. It's the Y.
It's going up, so it's going to be greater than.
Mm-hmm. It's going up, so it's going to be greater than or equal to -4. Do we have a max or a min? And what is that min? What is the smallest number it can be? The lowest. What is it?
-4.
-4. And then how many roots, solutions, x-intercepts are there?
2.
2. And what are they? X equals.
-2 and 2.
So this is how I'm going to write it. I have 2 of them. X equals -2 and 2. Because if I put the number 2, it might be confusing because it'll be like, well, what is 2? Is 2 where it goes through, or is 2 how many we have? Okay, go ahead and do this last one.